What's up, y'all? This is Brave, and I'm back with another review of Ready to Love. This is Season 10, Episode 4, and the episode is titled Polly Pool Party. Let's go ahead and jump right into the review. So we start this episode off with all the fellas meeting up at Tommy's vault because it's no longer Tommy's lounge, but they all meet up, and we learn that the task for this week is for the guys to dive a little deeper with the ladies and show them a place that's very important to them. So they have to either take them to work with them or set up a date at their home. I said, that's really interesting because it's giving. Y'all don't have a lot of clearances to film in Philly, but we gonna let that go. So that's the task. Let's get right into the dates. So we see Naeem, he's at his gym, and I must say, they were in like the front area or whatever, and it looked really nice, and the gym was very nice. I said, okay, Naeem, good for you. So he set up this date between him, Khalil, Fritz, Deanna, True, and Sahara. Alright, so Naeem ends up giving a little speech about how the reason why he opened up a gym was because he wanted, people of color, especially black people, to have access to a gym because everybody should be working out or whatever. Really cool. However, this is where things got a little interesting to me because, y'all, where's True at? She ain't here. Everybody else has arrived. And I'm just like, okay, I understand that you were mad at him because he didn't reach out to you on your Google number, but to me, at least he's trying because he had to have sent an invite saying, hey, True, I'm going to do a group date. I would love for you to come. So I feel like he trying to reach out. I don't know what's happening. Now, at the same time that crew is working out and Fritz and Sahara was struggling on the workout, across the way we have Cam, Hussein, Tay, and Rocky. They all meet up on a date. But I'm going to go ahead and talk about the first date first because I can't be jumping back and forth between the two, getting everybody confused. So we're going to stick with the first one first. All right, so back with the workout crew. We have, first of all, Naeem, he took care of the people. Like, after they did that workout, he was giving some shakes away to Khalil and Deanna while they were having a conversation. I'm like, okay. Now, let's get to Khalil and Deanna. So, if I'm not mistaken, this may be their first time really talking because I don't remember seeing them talk on the show. And they talk about the fact that they're from the same area, it sounds like, but he went to boarding school for high school, and he talks about how, they were able to spank them if they were in trouble, because they had like a paddle and all these things. And here's the thing, these two, they laughed a lot with each other, like a lot. But it wasn't to the point where he pushed her off to being a homegirl. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all know a lot of times when women are funny or they're like jokey with you or y'all are laughing a lot, the guys tend to push them off to being a homegirl. But I didn't see that happen with these two. So that was interesting. Now, moving on from that, y'all guess who finally walked through the door? True. True finally showed up. She swear that, work called and that's why she couldn't show up on time. I feel like, honestly, she probably didn't want to show up and production had to call her to be like, girl, you signed a contract, so you need to get your ass here. That's what probably happened. So, first of all, he's asking her like, oh, what took you so long? And she's like, I told you work. Are you not understanding? I said, whoa, that's an interesting phrase to use. Are you not understanding? Like, honestly, maybe he was concerned because if he reached out to you and said, hey, come on through, you don't show up. Like, were you having car trouble? Like, what's going on? And here's the thing. She has the audacity to tell him that he needs to let it go about her not getting there on time. Yet she wants to circle back to the fact that he hasn't called her. I said, well, shouldn't you be letting that go? Because at the end of the day, at some point, he reached out to you to invite you to this date. So maybe he's trying. And then I further realized that he was trying because he said that he called her and she sent back some question marks in a text message. As in, like, nigga, what do you want? Do you need something? That's the vibe I'm getting. And I'm just like, Okay, true. You couldn't return a phone call? Like, I'm sorry, I do understand where he's like, well, I didn't know how to move forward with that. Was I supposed to keep calling you or what? Because it sounds like you don't really like him. At least that's what it feels to me. It seems like you don't really like Naeem. And if you don't, that's cool. But you can't sit up here and keep whining about the fact that he don't reach out to you. Now, I did not forget about what she said previously on the last episode about how he don't reach out to her and how she sent him a hello and he sent her a thumbs up. It sounds like they have bad communication with each other. Like, completely terrible communication. And they are not a match at all. I mean, it got to the point where her phone was ringing and he was like, oh, so was that the real number or the Google number? Or did he say, was that the real phone or the fake phone or something like that? And she got up and left. And I'm just like, okay, that's a bit dramatic. I think he was just trying to be funny in the moment because at this point, y'all got all this tension. And it's very clear, hell, it was clear to me when y'all was talking on the first day, y'all are not a match. Let's move on. We got to get to Sahara and Fritz, okay? So she says that this man has been texting her. However, she feel like it's a little friend zone-y because he'll text like, hey, friend. And if he interested, he wouldn't be saying, hey, friend. It'd be like, hey, boo, hey, something. Something cute, not friend. And I agree. Now, she said that man texted her. She said, asked him, how was your day? And he responded with the same 3 responses, right? She texted him again the next day. How was your day? He hit her with the same answer. I was just like, Fritz, at this point, you just need to go ahead and tell her, I don't see you that way. I don't see us being an item, but we can be cool. Just be honest. But what the real honesty is, he think that she ghetto and she hood as fuck, and he would never date a girl like her. Let's call a thing here. Fritz is giving me very, what's the word? I'm bougie, I'm up here, I'm cultured, I've traveled, and that girl right there is beneath me. Like, it's crazy to me that he's over here texting her yer as if he's from New York. Like, isn't that like a New York slang thing? Or maybe I'm wrong, but I'm sorry, if I was her, I would probably feel some type of way like, don't text me that. Please don't. Because if we want to be honest, I'm pretty sure he's not texting Tay like that. He's not texting the other girls like that. For sure, he's not. But I also think it's a little ghetto for him to be like, you're... Like, that's a little weird. And what's crazy is that in this conversation, she basically says, like, okay, well, like, the text that you be sending me, it be giving me, like, friend zone. But I don't want that. And I wish that in that moment he would have just been honest and been like, you know what, Sahara, I like you as a person, you really cool, but I just don't see you that way. I wish that he would have just been upfront and honest about it. Because we all know he don't really like her like that. Let's be serious. Moving on, we see True and Khalil. So at first they just talk about the process or whatever. And then they talk about how many kids she wanted. And she's like, oh, you know, I do want to have kids. I want to have kids with my husband. He's like, oh, okay, cool. Oh, I forgot to ask you how old you are. Like, yeah, that's a normal question to ask somebody. But baby, True was going any and everywhere but where her age was, okay? She was like, yeah, that's a good question. You know, I am in between some numbers. Yeah, I'm just like, girl, what? I realized in that moment, True forgot how old she told the show she was. I think that's what's happening here. Because ain't no way True is 35 years old. Let's start there. Secondly, I think that she forgot what age she told the show. And what she didn't want to happen was that they put her age on the bottom of the screen like, True, 35. And here she goes saying, oh, you know what? I'm 38. She didn't want to do that. I think that's what happened here. I mean, girl, mid-grown, I cannot. When I get to being mid-grown, I'm going to have to start using that. Moving on, y'all, that was the end of that date. Let me go ahead and talk about the people who met up at Cam's house real quick. All right, so like I said, it was Cam, Tay, Hussein, and Rocky. And they played this little game where they were answering questions out of a bowl, right? So Hussein, he ended up pulling the first question. It was like, oh, what's your favorite place to get kissed? And I believe he said it was his neck. And where else did he say? Like, below the belly button or something? I can't remember. All I know is that he liked his kisses down low, you know? Anywho, shout out to Kelly Rowland. Another question that we saw them answer was like, what is their biggest accomplishment or something like along those lines? And here's the thing. I don't think we heard what Hussein had to say. However, we did hear Tay, and for her, it was graduating. I don't know if it was graduating from college, graduating from a special program. Hell, it could have been from high school. I have no idea where she graduated from, but that was her biggest moment. We get to Cam, and he was talking about how he was like having a really hard time, like he was broke, and he basically was fighting some demons that was telling him that he don't need to be here anymore. However, he had his niece on his mind and was like, he got to live for her. So I think at that point, that's when he kind of, changed his life, turned his life around, and his life got better. But baby, we got to talk about Rocky. Y'all, Rocky has had it rough. Because Rocky said that she lost her job. So she went out to the streets. And baby, I thought she was going to say she was selling ass. But no, she was selling drugs. And that's when she realized that she needs to change her life around. I said, oh, this got deep and dark. Again, Rocky is the same person as Sahara. Okay? They are very rough. However, for some reason, Rocky gets a pass and Sahara does not. Am I the only one who's noticing it? But I digress, because that girl, she's loud. She is like giving the same energy as Sahara to me. But Rocky gets a pass. I feel like that was all that was happening over there. Let's move on. All right, now we jump on over to Cam and Rose. They go on this date. And first thing that's a red flag to me is I'm just like, Rose, you sat up in the women's lounge saying that y'all religions don't align. He ain't spiritual. He ain't religious. It don't sound like he believe in God. And that's something that you can't do. You can't deal with. Baby, that right there is a deal breaker. So there's no reason for you to be on this date right now. Like, I'm sorry, if people have deal breakers, I'm ready for you to stick with them. Like, be so for real about yourself, girl. And I like you, but what are we doing? What are we doing? And honestly, this is what annoys me about this show, is that because people are trying to stay to the end, they are going on dates with people that they have no business going on dates with. But I digress. All right, now let's go ahead and get into the conversation. And he ends up asking her, oh, okay, well, what are you looking for in a partner or whatever? Number one, she says stability, because maybe she need a man with a job and a place to live. Amen, amen. And she also says that she needs trust, because every man that she has ever been with has cheated on her. I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Like, that's real crazy. But one thing that she did point out was the fact that, she just had to dust herself off, get back up again, and keep it moving. And at the same time, what she said that she does not do is hold her past relationships, bring her past relationships into her current relationship. So yes, maybe guys in the past have, cheated on her. However, she starts with a clean slate with everybody and see what they gonna do. All right, so here go Rose trying to test the waters with this man. She want to pray over the food, okay? Just a real quick little prayer. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm always down for gratitude. So they hold hands. She said a quick prayer or whatever. And once it was over, she's like, I know that we've had this back and forth about, like, religion, but, like, that was pretty easy. Are you cool with that? And he's like, yeah, I can be cool with that. So now she thinking, because she said a 2-second prayer and he said amen to it, that this was like the biggest compromise and that they have something here. And I'm just like, first of all, girl, that man did not pray with you, okay? Yes, he held your hands. However, We don't know what he was thinking, number one. Number two, again, if y'all ain't praying to the same God, that's a little interesting. Because we don't know what he was thinking about in his head. He could have been thinking about SpongeBob. We don't know. But these two, they are very googly-eyed and they are smiley all at this table. Now, he tells her that he don't want to change her. He like her for who she is. And we're going to see where this goes, okay? Do they look good as a couple? Yes. However, I do think that religion, that does play a big part in a lot of people's lifestyle and just how they think and how they handle different situations. But we shall see. Let's go ahead and move on. All right, so we get to Fritz's house, right? Now, I'm assuming this may be for his birthday. I'm not really sure. But nonetheless, he's throwing a party so everybody can come through, right? Baby, when I tell you there's two different type of women that showed up to this party, two different type of women. You have the Shanices who come showing body yaddy, you know what I'm saying? Making sure she looking good. And then you have the Angies. And this is not a bad thing, but Angie literally showed up in flip-flops, a t-shirt, and some little stretchy shorts, okay? Hella comfortable. I mean, with a baseball cap. With a baseball cap. I said, Angie, why you show up so comfortable? Like, you give it a little too comfortable. See, now in my mind, that right there is giving homegirl vibes. Also, I stand corrected. It's not actually for everybody. My bad. It was only Fritz, Eddie, Cisco, and Naeem as far as the guys. And then for the ladies, it was Shanice, Coley, Kiera, and who else was it? Shanice, Coley, Kiera, and Angie. That's who it was. All right, so we got the conversation starting. We see Eddie and Coley, they flirting or whatever. These two, they gravitate towards each other every time they're in the same space, okay? Fritz is telling Angie about how this is not his forever home. And she's like, no, but this is a beautiful home. And he's like, nah, but, it's just me. She's like, okay, well, that's why you're on the show. Like, you're trying to find someone to move in with you, buddy. Then we actually see Shanice and Cisco have a conversation, okay? Now, I know that Shanice has always led with her being an entrepreneur. However, I do feel like her opening up about what she wants in a relationship, I said, okay, Shanice, you are really here to look for love. Because she listed, like, she wants laughter. She also wants for them to be supportive of each other. She wants them to pray over each other. I'm like, okay, Shanice, I see where we going with this. So then when she asks Cisco the question, he's like, he's a believer of a higher power. He prays every day. And basically, he realized that him and Shanice basically want the same things in a relationship. And honestly, for me, I feel like out of all the contestants on the show, I think that for their age range, being like 40 something years old, those two should be having conversations. Because I don't want her to be even wasting time with Hussein. Let's not do that because I just don't see it. But I see Shanice and Cisco being a thing. I don't see him for like Tay or any of the other young girls. This right here should work. In my mind, because she's very busy. She's very, I'm here, there, I'm everywhere. I'm working on all these businesses. And then you have this guy who is more chill, more laid back. He got work in the gym. That's all he got. Usually that type of stuff balance out. Like, you can't have two busybodies. Like, it just don't really work out a lot of times. So, I don't know. I feel like with him having a very routine life, I feel like he would still be there to support her, if that makes sense, and all the things she got going on. But let's go ahead and move on. Now, we do see a brief moment with Eddie and Angie. And it wasn't that they were having a conversation or anything like that. But he was on the grill the whole time, from what I've seen and what y'all have probably seen. He was on the grill the whole time. She was the only lady who was, like, helping. Like, oh, I'll take that food in the house. I can bring out more meat. Whatever he needed, you know what I'm saying? It was given. She was, like, right there to be like, okay, I got you. And if your love language is, what is it, acts of service or whatever, I feel like, yeah, he may like that. Because, like I said, she was the only one who was doing it. She was the only one who was trying to help him or whatever. And it allowed them to spend time together and not even have to have a conversation. But it was good to know that, hey, she's the type of person that's going to have your back. You know what I'm saying? Because she's operating from a space of, baby, I got you. So next we see Fritz and Shanice or whatever. They get all flirty. And he's like, ain't nobody gonna get in the pool unless I jump in the pool first. So they jump into the pool. I was surprised, y'all. I was so surprised that Shanice got into that pool. Number one, because y'all know she don't play about her makeup. And number two is because I'm like, she came looking all cute. Like, I thought she would just be the type of girl that's just like gonna sit on the sideline, be like, all right, y'all have fun. I'll put my toe in the water, but that's about it. But no, like, she was in the pool. Like, her and Angie was over there attempting to play wrestle or whatever they were doing. And it looked like everybody got into the pool. I said, okay, I'm surprised. All right, so we see Fritz and Coley talk, right? Baby, Coley, she was ready to get to the nitty gritty. He over here all smiley like, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. She's like, yeah, well, listen, I looked on your Instagram and I saw that you were following some poly relationship stuff on there. So what's up with that? Because I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for a monogamous relationship. And he's like, oh no, it's not even like that. Like, I was just curious, but I'm not in that lifestyle. Sir, yeah, you may be curious, but you may also want to act on it. All right, so the gang is in the house, right? And this is where we're about to learn a little bit more about Kiera, because I know that she gives baddie, like Jay likes to say, but I would like to know more about her background. So she goes on to say that she was with her children's father since they were teenagers, and they ended up having 2 kids together. We learned that he is a pro boxer, and he cheated on her. Now, of course, she took him back, but baby, then this took a turn because we learned that he went to jail. He already been up in there for 6 years, I think she said. However, he about to get out soon. So the question is, will y'all be rekindling anything? Don't know, because according to her, it ain't like that, okay? She is moving on from him. She's done the work. He ain't got that hold on her life no more. Now, this is where things get interesting for me, because I stuck up for this man a little bit earlier. Naeem. Nine. You should be the last person commenting on black women being single mothers. Like, well, I don't know what color your baby mamas is. Hell, they might be something else. But you still left 3 women being single mothers. So you need to pipe down, baby. All right, so we move on to Eddie and Angie. The conversation was pretty light. He was basically thanking her for helping him out on the grill or whatever. And now she is so smitten with Eddie. And that was about to be Eddie. We went from Wayne to Eddie. Okay? Do I think that they are a match? They're cute together. They're cute. But at the same time, I keep reminding myself that she's in her 40s and he's like 31. So that age gap is pretty big for me, but we shall see. All right, so moving on, we see Coley and Jay. They go on this date. I believe they went mini golfing or whatever. And one thing about him, baby, he gonna stereotype your ass. Because when he came to Kiera, he's like, oh yeah, she a baddie, or whatever. Like I said, she be giving city girl to me, but whatever. That's how he views her. Then when it comes to Coley, he was like, oh yeah, she's giving like a rich daddy's girl. And I'm just like, why do you keep stereotyping these women? It's a little weird to me. All right, so when it comes to Coley, though, she feels like she never thought that she would date a man with kids. However, now she's realizing that for her, men with kids make her feel safe. Those were her words, not mine. I'm going to let her rock with that. So they end up talking about what love means to them or something along those lines. Now, I'm not understanding how his follow-up question was, is sex big to you? Like, is that something that's a big deal to you or something like that? And she's like, well, if I'm having sex with somebody, then that person means something to me or whatever. Okay, cool. And then the follow-up statement was, oh, okay, so are we going to do this date again? I'm sorry, sir, where'd that question come from? And where were you going with that? Like, it didn't lead up to anything. You didn't have a response back to it. Like, is it that you were just thinking it and then you said it because you want to sleep with her? Like, none of that made sense for me. But I'm gonna let it go. All right, so we are now back at the vault. Finally, let's talk about who the guys like. So Naeem likes Kiera. He said because, it shows resilience, that she's a mom of 2. I said, well, here's the thing, baby. She don't feel that way about you because according to her, you got 5 kids too many. Okay? Then he goes on saying that he likes his women a little bit hood. I said, oh, well, maybe you need to go talk to Rocky or Sahara because they definitely giving that. And then he goes on to say that, they've always had a vibe. I'm just like, okay, that's what you think. Moving on. All right, so Khalil, we already know he feeling Deanna, okay? They was just laughing and smiling at each other when they saw each other. Then we get to Jay. He mentions Coley, but of course, you already know Kiera's at the top of his list. All right, so Hussein says that his number 1 right now is Tay. And I'm just like, well, maybe y'all talking on the phone because he talking about the conversations, they get deep. I said, when? Because not much was real deep when y'all was sitting on that couch. But, okay. Then Cisco chimes in and he says Tay as well. And I want him to let that go. Like, it's given he about to chase this young tender down, where really he should be talking to Shanice. Because number 1, she's more age appropriate. And number 2, I thought that they bonded. Guess I was wrong. Cam, he says that he's into Rose right now. Fritz surprised me, and he said Shanice. That's what he into. He goes on to give a whole little speech about how she's ready for love. And then, who else was it? Eddie. Eddie, of course, he says Angie, which surprised me. But I feel like when she was helping him out on the grill, that really, did something for him. Because I for sure thought he was going to start with Coley. All right, so who are the guys not feeling? Fritz surprised me because I thought he was going to say Sahara. But no, he actually said Kiera because he's intimidated by her baby daddy. That's the vibe I got. The fact that he went on this whole thing about how, yeah, she got a man up north or her baby daddy up north doing time, but he about to get out soon and all that. I'm like, sir, she did not tell you or y'all that information for you to think that there was going to be a competition between you and the baby daddy. What's going on here? Okay. All right, so then we have Naeem. He's talking about True. Y'all already knew he was going to say her. He not feeling her because she gave him that Google Doc number and because she was late to the workout, yet she says she wants to get to know him. So I can understand that part. Then Khalil chimes in and he's like, yeah, I tried to talk to True. We had a cool conversation until I asked her how old she was. And she talking about around the middle age. So I'm just like, all right, True. Look like you about to be heading out the door. So the next person is Cam. He says that he's not feeling Deanna. That's because she sunned him about, being a firefighter. And she has a higher ranking than him. Then we have Jay. He actually said Shanice because he feels like he's too immature for her. Because he's a jokester. And I'm just like, okay, well, it looked like she be laughing and having a good time. But I think it's really because you think she's too old for you. And that's okay too, because at least we're kind of admitting it. She not in the age bracket that you kind of going for. Because let's be clear, we ain't seen that man tell a joke, not a one time. He ain't pulled a prank, not a one time. So when were you being a jokester? We gonna move on. Khalil said Sahara. We already knew this was coming. Somebody was gonna friend zone her. It was him. He said, she could be a cool homegirl. However, there is a time and a place for everything because there's a time when he wants his woman to be more reserved. And I'm just like, Well, every time that y'all have seen this girl, it has been in a public setting, okay? It has been in mixers. Y'all were at a gym where y'all were the only ones there at the gym. So I'm sorry that this girl has a personality. Like, I know her personality is not for everybody and she can be loud. Yes, she a little ghetto for sure. But I do kind of feel like I'm annoyed at this point with this show, because anytime there is a woman who comes on the show that has a bigger personality, the men are always like, oh no, I like my woman to be more reserved. I would like my woman to not, be loud or have a big personality. Like, that's a little weird to me, because it has happened multiple times on this show. Women cannot have a big personality. Don't let them be a curvier body, because you're not going to get far. And don't let you be a real cool chick. Like, super down to earth, hella cool. Because again, a lot of times they will friend zone you. Because if I want to be honest, and I love Deanna. I really do. I like her vibe and everything. But sometimes I feel like with this group of men, if her body wasn't the way it was, they probably would have friend zoned her too. Because I'm trying to figure out why we have not seen multiple dates with Deanna. Where's she at? What's going on here? Okay, then we get to Fritz, right? Of course, he chimes in about Sahara, and he's like, there's a ceiling when it comes to me and her, because I need someone with a little bit more decorum. I'm like, decorum? I'm sorry, what did the girl do that was so bad? I'm really trying to understand. What did she do that was so bad besides laugh a little bit louder? You know what I'm saying? She may be a bit more boisterous, tell you exactly how she feel. Like, I'm just trying to understand, especially when he was like, yeah, somebody I can bring around my family. Like, am I tripping right now? I'm just trying to understand, what did the girl do that was oh so bad for him to act this way, because she called you out for friend zoning her when you could have just been upfront and honest and been like, you know what? I don't see you that way. I would have rather you move like that than to say that the girl need more decorum. That's crazy to me. But also at the same time, again, I keep asking, why is no one putting Rocky in the bottom? I don't understand it, because, not trying to be mean, but Rocky has showed up here looking no different than Sahara, being loud like Sahara, being boisterous, having a personality like Sahara. Hell, she done called Eddie a pretty boy and said she don't fuck with that kind. And that was okay. She just told these people that she sold drugs before. And that was okay. So I'm just trying to understand, why is Rocky getting the pass, yet not Sahara? It's giving a little colorism. I'm sorry to call it out. All right, so the two ladies that are in the bottom is Sahara and True. We have Cam meeting up with Sahara, and True is meeting up with Khalil. In this scene, that's what I realized. I really hate Khalil's hair, because I feel like he has way too much hair shaved off to have those locks just sitting in the middle of his head. All right, so when it comes to Cam and Sahara, right, he tells her that, girl, you give off homie vibes. The guys feel like, you're authentic, you're real. And I'm just like, so isn't that a good quality? Same thing she's feeling. Like, so is that not what men want? What's happening here? So he just basically says that she needs to, like, show more than what she's showing. And I'm just like, that's not what they want from her. They don't want her to show more. They want her to reel it back in. They want her to tone it down. You're not telling her the right information, sir. Also, I thought you were feeling her. Why you ain't took her out on no dates? What's going on here? Now we jump back over there with Khalil and True, and she's like, okay, well, what did they say? I want to know. And he's like, well, there was some stuff going on with some phone numbers or whatever, and she already knew it was Naeem. And then he brings up the fact that when they talked, and he asked her how old she was being weird. She's like, okay, well, I'm 35. And it's like, well, girl, you could have just said that. But like I said earlier, I don't think she remembered how old she told the producers that she was. And, like, when it came to the whole Naeem thing, she did take a little jab, like, oh, yeah, it was the guy with the 5 kids. And I'm just like, okay, true. If that's how you feel, I feel like you should have told him up front, you got too many kids for me. Like, I just want the people on these shows to be honest. Like, if you think that the girl is too ghetto for you, just say, you too ghetto for me. I ain't really feeling you. Let's be honest. If the guy got too many kids for you, just tell Naeem, I'm not really looking for that. You got way too many kids. I'm moving on to find somebody else. Because, true, why was you pressing him about, oh, you never called me when you don't even like him? Just a mess. So, here's the thing. Sahara, she gets to fight another day, and True gets sent home. Y'all, let's see what they bring on the next episode. I will say that Ready to Love has been keeping my attention, but we shall see. Go ahead and let me know what y'all thought about this episode in the comment section. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to y'all in my next review. Bye, guys.